What's going on YouTube? All right, you clicked on this video, it's because you're interested in the Canon EOS 24mm f2.8. So let's go ahead and dive into this. Starting off with the price, we're looking at $129 on B&H, Amazon, Adorama, and $129.99 on Best Buy and Canon.com. Now, this is the price at the time of the recording of this video, so if the price fluctuates up or down, I am sorry, or you get a good deal. Now moving on to construction, so this lens is fully plastic with a metal mounting ring and there is no weather sealing. As far as the weight, it is 4.3 ounces without the lens caps and 5 ounces with the lens caps. So if you're packing this to go on street photography or just take it around town, you're not going to notice a lot of weight in your camera bag. As far as the aperture goes, you're looking at f2.8 to f22. Now, something I do want to note about this lens specifically is it is designed for crop sensor cameras. So if you're using something like a T7 or an SL2 or an SL3 or like an 80 or a 90D that's crop sensor, this is equivalently 38.4 millimeters to full frame lens. So if you adapt this to a full frame camera, you're going to get the same thing. Basically, when I attach this to my EOS RP or my R5, it automatically crops it into a 1.6 times crop. So that 24 millimeter lens goes to 38 mils. Now, I will say this about this. So for a 38 millimeter full frame equivalent lens, this Canon EOS 24mm lens produces some very nice bokeh. Although not an f1.8 lens, you are able to shoot subjects and get decent bokeh, but don't expect it to be entirely blown out like those large aperture lenses like a Canon 50mm f1.8 or some of the even wider but larger aperture like 24 and 35 mils. So just take that into account. Now diving into the image test, at f2.8 we see vignetting, barrel distortion, there is purple color fringing on contrasting edges, the center of the image is sharp, and there is softness in the corners. Stopping down to f5, we see the vignettes start to disappear. We still have purple color fringing on contrasting edges, and the sharpness is now edge to edge. At f10, the image is tack sharp, and this is overall compared to what f5 was. And in my testing at f18, the image starts to soften due to diffraction. Now, for long exposures, if you are a long exposure fan, Sunstars are decent, but they aren't very pleasing as they are kind of doubled up even at f22. The Sunstars have 14 points, it's decent for astrophotography and wide enough that you're still able to get the majority of the nighttime sky in your frame, although it's nothing compared to like a Rokinon 10mm f2.8, which I had done a review on a while back. Now, as for real estate photography, I think this equivalency of this lens being around 38 millimeters is too narrow for real estate. That being said, it could be used for a more detailed shot if you're photographing like appliances or using this lens for video walkthroughs on like neat features of the house or like newer appliances. So I know sometimes in real estate photography, people will do like, I want to say like detailed or like B-roll shots where you'll have some of that newer appliances or like maybe the home developers built like a cool little nook or something. And you just wanted to get it a little bit more narrow of an aspect compared to a wider angle lens. Now, as far as close focusing distance goes, Canon claims you get 0.52 feet, or basically a half a foot, or you get 0.16 meters, so take that into consideration as well. Now, I've owned this lens on and off for a long time, and I will say, I mean, this is a really good general photography lens, whether you're doing landscape photography, whether you're doing portrait, product photography, you can even do some like macro-ish shots with it. You can also adapt this to a extension tube as well if you're doing macro photography. So just take that into account. Now, like I said, I've used this for portraits, I've used it for product photography, I've used it for astrophotography, for landscape, I mean, just generally pretty much all photography. And I will say it is lightweight enough that really, I mean, if you attach this to a camera, like I attached this to my RP and my R5, I've used it on my T7 and my SL3 before. The only thing I couldn't adapt it to was my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K, and mostly because the adapter that I had, which I believe, if I remember correctly, was Viltrox, didn't adapt to the EFS lenses, so I'm not really 100% sure. Viltrox, if you're watching this and people want to adapt EFS lenses to their Blackmagic Pocket 4Ks and 6Ks. So I just want to go ahead and say this. I mean, if you guys have watched this to the end of this video, we're doing a giveaway with this lens specifically. And at the time of this recording, which is pretty much almost the end of 2023. So if you are watching this video within the first 2 or 3 weeks, just go ahead and drop this keyword down below, which is I want to win. So if you're interested in winning this lens, just go ahead and drop the keyword I want to win in the comments section below. And we're going to go ahead and try to give this away before or around Christmas time. Hopefully, it might be a little late for a Christmas gift for somebody, but if you want to win, just go ahead and drop that down in there. So realistically, I love this lens because it's lightweight. It's got an f2.8 aperture. Adapting it gives you a 38 millimeter, which honestly, if you go and look into what a lot of the Hollywood movies have been recorded on, a lot of people use 40 mil primes for those. So just take that into account as well. I mean, I think that's pretty cool. So it's pretty close to that 40. You can still kind of get that like cinematic look with them. The autofocus is quiet. There is no image stabilization, but it's wide enough that you're really not going to get a whole lot of shake if you're trying to hold it, hand hold it, because there's not a lot of weight to that lens. It gets pretty close. It takes beautifully sharp images, especially at an f2.8. And if you're doing product photography or you're doing food photography, if you're doing portraits, I think that this is a pretty good wide angle lens to have. If you're doing street photography, I think it's really nice to be able to just throw this on a camera and walk around. You can adapt it to the Canon EOS R systems, and you can still use it on the Canon EFS and EF lenses or systems, so just take that into account. As far as I know, Canon is probably going to be discontinuing a lot of these EF and EFS lenses, so if you are like me and you do enjoy photography, go ahead and snag one of these. I mean, they're under 150 bucks even shipped. They're a good lens to have, a 52 millimeter filter thread, so you can adapt a lot of different stuff to it. It's an all-around good lens, especially if you're doing video and stuff too, so take that into account. Anyways, hopefully you guys like this video. Go ahead and give it a thumbs up, give it a like. If you didn't like this video, also give it a thumbs up. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit all the buttons. I'm Jordan, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.